Hey everybody, this is Everything is Finally Ruined, the podcast show as well, also a podcast about everything to do with just kicking some ass in the squared circle. Now, with me today, as always, is Hassan. Now, Hassan, I'm assuming you're here to show us your sick-ass finishing move.
My persona, he's called the oncologist.
Oh yeah.
And my finishing move is basically I reveal my rival's diagnosis, and typically it's late stage rectal cancer.
Nice. Is it always late stage rectal cancer?
Surprisingly, yeah.
Oh man, okay. Is it ever not?
I'm gonna reveal the second part. I'm secretly expose them to radiation so that I always win my matches.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna get the championship belt.
Yeah. So radiation directly into the butthole. Is that exactly what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. That sounds like a pretty good way to win a wrestling match. Now, and if anybody that's in the, out there wrestling wise, who are you going for? Like who's your who you trying to take on?
Okay, to be clear, I don't actually
Yeah.
My finishing move is also my opening move because I'm not really built for it. So
okay,
I'll take on anyone really.
All right. So let me get this straight. When you open a match, you come down the ramp. You get into the ring. The bell rings. And the first thing you do is bombard their butthole with radiation.
Oh, no. I've bombarded that well before the match started. No. It's bell rings and I pull out the diagnosis.
Okay. So the bell rings and you pull out the diagnosis, revealing to them that they have late stage rectal cancer. Like stage 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means they're gonna die in the matter of days, weeks?
Couple weeks at best, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, they can still win the match. Right?
Usually they're so emotionally devastated that it's just a concession and I win.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. If I was diagnosed with late-stage rectal cancer, I guess I would also concede defeat and just let you win the match. So, I guess that works out, yeah. Well, that's a great way. Did you ever, I don't know, throw a suplex or two, or, I don't know, hit somebody?
Again, just physically, I am not built for that. Vince, give me a call. I'm available for WrestleMania.
I don't think you're blown out enough.
Give me. I'll get in the ring with Cena or whoever.
No, I think. For Vince McMahon, you're definitely not large enough muscular wise. It was a miracle that Daniel Bryan got in the ring, let alone Kevin Owens.
Oh, Rey Mysterio is not that big. So
yeah, compared to the normal person, he's actually pretty big.
Yeah.
Luckily for you, it's Triple H is in charge because Vince McMahon stepped down. So, I mean, he still has the money, I guess. You're right.
Dana White, that's the UFC guy, right? I mean, he's technically the one in charge now.
Oh, that is true. I guess you're right. Yeah, but it is Triple H running the show, so gone are the steroid muckety mucks.
I don't think any wrestlers have done steroids.
Well, that's it for our interview. Hassan, what do you want to talk about today? Now that we have some time to kill in this interview.
Well, Tristan, we're here to talk about a cartoon called Invincible Fight Girl.
Surprise me.
this is a 2024 cartoon
Mm.
on Adult Swim, created by
Adult Swim.
yes, created
Still
by
around?
somehow Juston. It's Juston Gordon Montgomery.
Justin Gordon Montgomery. That's a okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So previously he did directing and writing
GGM.
for DC Superhero Girls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that. I know that show.
Yeah.
It's all right.
The thing about Invincible Fight Girl,
Sure.
as somewhat evidenced by the fact that we are talking about this in June, despite the fact that it both came out and ended last year, is it's a show I really wish I liked more and find hard to be enthusiastic about.
What is son? It's about wrestling. It's got a robot guy.
Kind of, but no. Oh, wait, robot guy? What robot guy are you
He's a
thinking about?
referee. It's a referee. He's a robot. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't remember that.
I'm literally looking at the title card right now. That's all I'm doing right now. Is looking at the title card.
Yeah. Right. Yes, I think that only happens in like 2 episodes.
All right, well, that's sad. They should bring that robot guy back. Maybe that show would have had a longer life if they had brought the robot guy.
No. So the premise of this show is it sort of takes that, what I would call the like Yu-Gi-Oh or Beyblade sort of world where there is this sort of like singular thing that somehow everything in this world ends up revolving around, right? It's like in Yu-Gi-Oh, even though there's like still war and stuff, somehow Yu-Gi-Oh is the card game is, you know, this thing that's involved in it. Or like, oh, here's this super big media company. And they all still play Yu-Gi-Oh! And they all still are willing to, you know, I'll bet you that, you know, we'll make you the star of this movie if you can beat me in a game of Duel Monsters kind of nonsense, right? And
so it's very Pokemon-esque.
No, because like the difference with Pokemon is that like, you know, they are actual magical creatures.
Sure.
That it makes sense that the world ends up coalescing around. Whereas like in a Yu-Gi-Oh, in a Beyblade, it's like, yo, why is everybody in this world Beyblade? Like, oh, even the dudes who are like, I'm a professional baseball player, but also I'm an expert Beyblader. And you're like, that's not how that. Like,
he's got the Beyblade in his bat. And he fires the Beyblade out of his bat. It's a good thing.
And so that kind of does that, but with like wrestling, but it's that also weird cartoon version of wrestling, a lot like Ultimate Muscle, where they're wrestlers and they're over the top and doing those kind of wrestling moves, but it's actual physical combat. And the reasons that I say I wish I liked this more is that it is kind of very, not homage, but it definitely is very inspired by and wanting to sort of not be one of those, but it proudly wears on its sleeve the fact that it is heavily anime inspired, heavily just taking all sorts of moments from various animes, but it doesn't feel modernized. It doesn't feel like it it's not evolving those things. And when I watch it, I just feel like there's a lot of frustrations I have with the moments. So the main character is Andy, who her story is that she lived on this island of accountants, and then one day
all right,
she was being raised by her parents to be an accountant, but ever since she was a kid, she always wanted to be a wrestler, and she would watch these VHS tapes and practice these wrestling moves. And then one day, this group of these sort of, not necessarily like evil wrestlers, but they're definitely meant to be, these heels. God, was the name of their group? Oh, they're called the Perm Gang because they all have permed hair.
Okay.
Led by Immaculate.
Ooh.
They kind of show up, start bullying people. Andy's all, no, stop that. You can't do this. And then they're like, oh, really? Well, the only way to stop us is in the wrestling ring. And so she agrees. And yet, like, she manages to win the match because of the wrestling tape she watched.
Nice.
And that she learned this, like, strong fundamental. But she's so clearly outclassed. And I was willing to look past this sort of, like, very MacGuffin-y anime style, like, oh, this character who shouldn't win the fight because they managed to surprise their opponent, they got basically lucky and won. Like, okay, I can mostly look past that in the first episode. I don't love it. It's very just outdated anime to me at this point. Like, that sort of idea of, oh, the hero protagonist can basically never win, that they always come through thanks to determination and the power of friendship kind of thing. And I don't watch a whole lot of anime these days. I mostly read mangas, and even then, not that many shonen-y manga. But it definitely feels like we have moved past that. In particular, when I think about things like Delicious Dungeon or even like Frieren, those are series that go, hey, no, the reason that these characters are, winning the fight, whether that's, Frieren overcoming other mages, or whether that is Leos's group managing to defeat these monsters, is like, no, that's because they literally have these skills and abilities, and that, Delicious and Dungeon, when they don't have those, there are serious consequences, like the sister dying. And like, this show, it doesn't have that, but then occasionally it will have these moments where it does do something that I really like and feels like it is moving past that and is trying to not necessarily push the medium forward, but advance the kind of writing and not just be stuck in super kind of cliche rote forms of anime. Like in the second episode, so Andy ends up winning that match, and Andy's hero from when she was a kid was this wrestler called Queso Poblano, who
like the pepper.
Wait.
Is it Queso Poblano?
Yes. Okay. No, sorry. Queso. Quuesa Poblano.
Oh, they reversed the A's and the O. Oh, that's clever. Yeah. Okay. So cheese pepper, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cheese sauce pepper.
And I forget. So she was this wrestler who had this basically ultimate punch technique. I think it's just called the perfect strike, if I'm looking. Yeah, that's what Wikipedia is saying. Yeah, a while ago when I saw this episode. But she was Andy's hero. Andy ends up heading to this wrestler city, Rustburn. Basically, she gets her parents' approval, goes off to become this wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, when she gets there, she kind of gets scammed and ends up down on her luck. And so
as you do,
older female wrestler kind of ends up picking her up. She's like, oh, come to my, I believe it's a bar / sort of restaurant. Come here, we'll help you out. And she's part of this group called the Busters, and they're basically these sort of, really, it's a harsh way to put it, but like washed up wrestlers. It's a group who they tried to become the top wrestlers in whatever the World Wrestling Federation thing is called that they have, and they couldn't quite make it. And that's this moment where I was like, and this is the second episode, I'm going, oh, okay, maybe this show does have something more to it. Because, episode 2, literally having these 3 different wrestlers, and the Busters are these main 3, but the bar is full of a bunch of others sitting there and kind of just having a discussion that you rarely get to see in any form of media, which is hey, determination and talent don't mean your dreams will come true.
No, it's true.
And that's something I really wish more media addressed, just from years of working in the music industry. It's like, I saw a lot of talented musicians who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into stuff.
Yep.
And
didn't make it.
Their musical dreams did not come true. In many cases, they're no longer even really playing in bands or anything, or if they are, it's very just casual for funsy thing.
Yep.
And so having that in episode 2, I was going, oh, okay, this might have this kind of deeper, more emotional, more, hey, we're going to tackle heavier subjects. And it kind of tries to, but most of the time it just ends up falling back on these cliche moments, like towards the later episode. So eventually, Andy ends up, so in episode 1, there was this old lady who kind of helped Andy out when the perm gang were bullying everybody. And then in episode 3, she basically finds out that this old lady, Casa Poblana, that the old lady Granny P is this person, and that the guy who scammed her is Granny P's nephew. And so he kind of goes, oh, okay, well, we'll team up, and then you and I can, I'll train you to be this ultimate wrestler, and that way, because Granny P is just a very old grumpy lady, very leave me alone. I'm not gonna teach you my techniques or anything like that. And so what is his name again? Craig, Auntie P's nephew.
Craig.
Sorry, Auntie, not Granny. Auntie P. He's all, yeah, I'll train you, and then my Granny will recognize you, and then you'll get to learn her techniques. And so, this perfect strike technique, I gotta sit there hoping, maybe this character won't learn that and we'll get some real depth. But no, just through determination and moxie and Deus Ex Machina, at the very last episode, she ends up basically getting this technique. Like, oh, okay, cool. So
awesome.
Even though Andy in no way should have this technique, nowhere's near a good enough wrestler to, basically be able to use, was essentially the ultimate wrestling move. We still give it to her. Like, oh, okay.
I mean, that's how these shows go now. These kind of skip past they skip past any logical standpoints. The same thing happens in Netflix's cartoon Gentry Chow, which had a cool style, a couple of good ideas. I watched the first couple episodes, and they did the exact same thing. And I was just kind of like, nah.
Yeah, and
it loses me on that side of things.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because for a show that's kind of going, oh, I want to be, heavily anime inspired. We want to wear that on our sleeves. No, that's cool. Does it have to be a style of anime and writing that's from 30 years ago, basically?
Yeah.
According to sorry, let me scroll back down. Yeah, so it takes inspirations from Pokemon, Naruto, Hajime no Ippo. It's like, cool. No, that's good. That's great. But like taking inspiration doesn't mean you should still be kind of written that way. And not to say that, I needed it to subvert 100% of the tropes or, completely do things differently. But
yeah,
when I think about sort of genres that say have been around for a longer time, like a murder mystery, there are plenty of modern murder mysteries that take heavy inspiration from the past, but don't end up feeling like they're exactly that thing written in that same way, or like a Western, right? There are plenty of good modern Westerns that say, hey, we're going to take what a Western did, but also acknowledge that just, filmmaking in general and writing and such have evolved and pushed forward. And in so many ways, this just doesn't feel like that happened. We'll get back to the story in a little bit. I want to talk about the visuals.
So
go ahead.
I generally like how this show looks, generally. But you might say otherwise.
I'm 50-50 on it. Is my problem, where overall I do like the visuals. In particular, it's well animated. It, the movement, it flows smoothly. It doesn't feel, say, cheap. But there's some parts of some of the character designs that I think are lacking. Like Andy in particular, there's just something about her that doesn't click with me. And I like the hair looks good, the shoes look good. I think the leotard and the gloves, it doesn't quite come together right for me. And I think in isolation it might work, but it's kind of that problem of, hey, it's a show about wrestling. There's a lot of people in leotards in it. And so
True.
Like her outfit just doesn't stand out in an interesting way.
Yeah. I agree. I think looking at her outfit I can see right now. I think the reason they did that is because it's easier to animate. However, if you look at other wrestlers in WWE or wherever, doesn't really matter. They are a lot flashier than the characters in this show. Like a lot.
Yeah, and I think they have a look to them is kind of one of the differences here too.
Yeah.
Like, well, I can sit here, I think about, obviously there are sort of the over the top wrestlers who have a very unique, extravagant look. Your Ric Flairs, your Ultimate Warriors, your Macho Mans.
Mm-hmm.
But there are wrestlers who had sort of, just in terms of the actual, we'll call it uniform, right? But I think about, say, the NWO or even like Sting, right? Like his actual uniform, it was mostly I don't know if it's considered a singlet, but mostly black, and it had like the scorpions.
Yeah.
But that still made it stand out, still made it feel unique. And
yeah, exactly.
If you listener just sort of Google Invincible Fight Girl and look at images, like you'll see, Andy just doesn't quite have that. There's I need to go back to his name again. Craig, he's just wearing a just plain green outfit. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
There's a character, M. Brandon, who he's just wearing this kind of blue. Yeah, so it's literally, imagine the name Brandon, but with an M in front of it. M. Brandon. All one
M.
word.
Brandon. Okay.
Yes.
What?
All right. Yeah, I don't know if the name is supposed to be a pun in some way, a reference to something. I'm not sure.
Oh, M. Bison.
Maybe I'm not
it's the best
sure.
I got. It's the best I got.
I kept assuming it must have been like EM, like M. Brandon or something, and then I had to look it up because like this is driving me crazy. I don't.
Does he wear an M. Bison outfit or?
No, not even close.
I don't know then. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. And then there's a character we haven't talked about, Mikey, last name Beef Puncha.
That's pretty good.
He's the younger brother of Brandon, and they're called Beef Punches because that's what their family does. They're kind of like butchers, except they do it by punching.
Come on, no, God.
It's a world of wrestling, so it's that, right? It's that thing of like, well, the butchers have to somehow do wrestling in this world,
As if a wrestler's never picked up a fucking like cleaver before in their lives. Come on.
No, that'd be illegal. Come on. But like Mikey's face, I do not like one bit. It's very clearly supposed to be inspired by and their version of sort of like what am I like Foxbox or something like that, when those sorts of things they would try and do their own anime. It very much feels like he's supposed to be us kind of, I would say poking fun, but his face makes me think of that, like, here's what anime looks like when a North American studio does it, kind of just look to his face. And pretty much his entire family is like that. I think M. Brandon is the same, where, hey, these characters basically end up having almost no nose. They just have that, like,
yep.
I don't even know what to call it.
It's just like, it's Krillin.
A little bit of shit. Yeah, it's the Krillin look. And I don't like it one bit. I sort of get what they're going for, but it's just don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the problems is with the visuals, is that they end up feeling a little bit inconsistent as a result, that sometimes it goes heavy into, a Hajime no Ippo, or even like a Studio Trigger for the action scenes. We're going to go heavy shading and, very dynamic lighting. And then in the other moments, it's got just that very flat character look without a whole lot of shading. And I just, I don't know. I wish it had more consistency and kept more to its own style. Same problem as the writing. It's clearly inspired by certain animes, certain other things.
Yeah.
And it tries to do its own thing, but far too often it ends up leaning on just fall back to the way they did it instead of figuring things out for itself.
Makes sense. Yes. But I mean, like, you're right. They need to actually figure some stuff out on their own. To think back on like a few years ago, probably about almost 10 years ago at this point, there's a show very similar in vein to Invincible Fight Girl, which was OKKO, Let's Be Heroes. And that show was based around like everybody's into fighting and martial arts, and everything is martial arts and fighting based, and everything's kind of a fighting video game / beat 'em up. And that was its whole shtick. So it at least kept the art style consistent in its weird little art style. Is very cartoony, simple art style. At least it did that. But I mean, I know Invincible Fight Girl is going for more of that like hyper anime stuff happening. And I've seen enough of the show to be like, okay, it's got some shots where it will go into that hyper realistic kind of stuff that comedy anime does. Yeah. And at the same time, though, like that stuff's really funny in context. However, I think every other, like, there are shows that already do that and exist, and this show doesn't have to be that. It really wants to be an anime, but it's not. But it really wants to be. But it really would have benefited if it had done its own thing. That's kind of what I'm getting from this.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Also, all right. Time for our favorite conversation.
Yay!
For the billion time.
Oh no,
Tristan, how many episodes do you think there are?
10.
It's a good guess. You're right. 10 whole episodes.
I fucking hate being right.
The
whenever this question comes up, because I know the answer is 10, because the company only ever orders 10 episodes, but it probably actually ordered like 20. But it's like, we'll put out the 10, and then as you're doing the 20, we'll see if people like it or not, and then we'll cancel it midway through the project if that's the case. I look, it's so common these days, it fucking hurts. I don't know how any animators out there deal with this, because for me, it breaks me. And for them, this is their livelihood. It's gotta be nutso. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. It sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, you don't say.
These are only 22-minute episodes, so you know it. There's so much this show clearly wants to set up and get at, and sort of flesh out the world, that it does not get to do any of that in this first season.
That sucks so hard.
Over time, it starts to hint at the fact that so Casa Poblana, she originally was, I'll say like normal height, even though this is a world with people that are clearly not even human, but
yeah,
used to be normal height, not like ripped but muscular, female wrestler. And then Granny P is now like barely up to a person's weight, scrunched up old lady. And this show kind of clearly hints at like something happened because of wrestling that, physically transformed her, and that also the GWC, which is like the, entity that's in charge of wrestling. So that's where that like robot referee came from, is that, when there's a wrestling challenge, they send down a referee and a ring for it, and that like, oh, maybe there's something dark and mysterious happening with them.
Is there?
Yeah, but I don't, like, again, 10 episodes.
Does it get 10 episodes? No.
Not have time to actually delve into any of that.
I didn't think so.
At all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
it's too bad, man.
Yeah. So there's an episode where I forget why, but Andy, Craig, and Mikey end up going off to this area where these two former wrestlers that are very like yeehaw Texas cowboy inspired, husband and wife. I forget why they like go off to see them or something, and then they ended up getting trounced by Queso Poblano, like whatever 20 years ago or something, and it basically mentally broke them and like caused them to be divorced, and basically because I forget which order it is, but it was essentially like the wife was essentially saying, no, the power of the perfect strike comes from the legs and her perfect stance, and the husband is like, no, it comes from the power of the arms. And so they just become these weirdos who only focus on training either their arms or their legs, and they have these, hey, it's literally a city with these two differing factions at war, whatever. But they ended up neglecting their daughter, who kind of turns into this emotionally distraught and unstable character, but who is this just absolutely jacked monster of a wrestler that Andy manages to beat through magical MacGuffining. But like, all that happens, and it implies, oh, we'll see more of this character because she runs off. Don't worry, we don't. It's like, well, there's only 10 episomes. Of course we don't have time to go back, and
we'll see her in season 2, possibly, if it gets renewed. Did it get renewed?
You know what? I didn't look.
Something tells me it didn't, because it's Adult Swim, and they're kind of weird shits like that, so. Yeah.
Wikipedia's not saying. I'll check in a second, but.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough.
Even if it gets to season 2, it's still a problem of the pacing of the writing, the introduction of that character, who then kind of ends up hating Andy. Like, it's very much implied, hey, this character will return as, this sort of villain seeking their revenge on Andy. None of that feels good. And I can't hold that against any of the people who worked on the show at this point, because so much of that comes down to this god-awful era of media we live in, where everything is a limited series and short episodes and doesn't have proper time to breathe and build things out. But boy, there's just a bunch of little things like that throughout this show, where it's like, this is definitely a show that the world it's going for, the characters, the way they want to write things, it needs to be 22 to 26 episode season, and it is not that, and it suffers because of it.
Yeah, that sucks. That really sucks.
Yes. I do want to talk about some of the positives of this show. So one is that it is willing to tackle some of the heavier subject matter like that. So that Bertie, that's the character. So there's Rough and Tumble, who are the two yeehaw Texan cowboy wrestlers, and then their child is Bertie. And having it sort of like a address topics like divorce and just, oh, these are garbage parents. They're just not good parents. Kind of liked that. You don't, it's still pretty rare, it feels like, for Western animation to tackle topics like divorce.
It is. It's pretty rare.
It's becoming more common, but it definitely feels more of a, oh, we maybe have a token divorce character or like kid of a divorced family. Yeah, so technical hiccup there, folks. The internet, what a fun thing it is sometimes.
Oh, I've seen all of this. I kept recording.
Yeah, okay, great.
Enjoy, fuckers.
Yeah, what I was saying is just that I do like that this show is willing to tackle heavier subject matter. Another positive, I think some of the voice acting in it is really good. So Andy is voiced by Sydney Michaela, who she voiced Wolf in Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts.
Yeah,
she's done some other voice acting, things like Haley's on it. She's been in Transformers and in Craig of the Creek as a recurring character. Rolando Waltz, who I don't know if she's done other voice acting or not, but she is quite good. Okay, yeah, no, she's done a bunch of voice acting actually.
Oh, sure.
But she's really good as Auntie P. On the flip side, I do think there are a couple of voice actors they're kind of wasted. Like Clancy Brown is the father Mega Beef Puncha.
Oh.
I don't know. He's
wasted Clancy.
Like, the problem is that he's halfway between serious and not. Yeah. So, he could be a lot better. Keith David, he's the narrator / this sort of villainous figure from the Global Wrestling Commission. He's okay, but kind of just underused. It's like, oh, you got Keith David, and then I don't know, just kind of this like generic bad guy at a corporation.
Anytime Keith David is a thing these days, I feel exactly that, because I'm like, you got Keith David and you're not using him to his full extent. Come on, what are you doing? I find that it happens often. With that said, I mean, like, I understand why they have him. But definitely have him in this because, like, black director and creator, that kind of stuff, and being a black man, this of course, you're going to bring in more black talent. Makes sense.
Look, if you have the chance to work with Keith David, of course you take.
You damn well take it. Yes,
David. I don't blame them.
Yeah. He's a legend. Anyway,
Dana Snyder is Ruff, the father figure of the. Yeehaw cowboy wrestlers. I like that. They were fun. Just because I'm worried about the internet again. And I don't have that much more to say. Actually, I'm just gonna quickly look up if it is getting a season 2, if they've said one way or another. Looks like it. Someone's saying it has.
Oh, all right.
And
got renewed.
I don't.
For them.
I don't. That's just an Instagram post. That seems to be the only definitive thing saying that. So I'm not seeing anything definitive one way or the other.
I always trust the gram.
Oh, okay. Zuckerberg, real reliable,
Yeah, real reliable guy.
He's never once misled us as people. My problem with it is I would like to see more episodes of this show, but I need more than just a season 2. At least if it's just another 10 episode season. Like that's 10 more episodes of this show is not going to be enough to do nearly as much character development, world building, all that stuff that they clearly want to have be there.
Yep.
And I just don't know that I see this show getting 3 or 4 or 5 seasons to actually get there. Because if this was a 26 episode season, and it only got 2 seasons, I'd be going, yeah, I think that'll work. I think, 45 to 50 episodes would be enough to do everything that they're clearly kind of building up toward.
Sure.
But 20 episodes is not, and I don't know that I see this show getting more. So it's the sort of thing that even if it gets a season 2, I don't know if I would watch that season 2 because and that's something we're hearing about a lot of streaming, like Netflix in particular. They've admitted that them canceling a lot of stuff has led to problems where there are shows that people just don't pick up because they're going, well, why would I watch a season 1?
Might just get canceled.
When you or why would I even watch a season 1 or a season 2 if I just don't, I'll get 2 seasons of this and then you'll cancel it. It's like, well, okay, now I don't get any closure of this thing. And that's how I kind of feel about this show and why I think it's very difficult for me to recommend it to anybody is, I don't know that this is going to get enough seasons and episodes to actually close things out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The issue in those cases is basically like, if you pick up the show and it gets canceled, you've at least watched half of something that was decent, probably. But I haven't watched a single new thing that has aired this year, as far as I can remember. And that's kind of because, like, I just don't want to commit the time to a thing that might just go away. I'm not the biggest stickler of that. That's the thing. I will still commit that time to something at some point. But I mean, cancellations can happen, but they happen so more frequently on Netflix than anything else, and other streaming services. Like, it used to be like if a thing got canceled, it would be like, okay, yeah, I got canceled for like a damn good reason. Nobody watched Life with Andy or whatever, or whatever show was on air back in the day that got canceled every one season. No, because nobody gave a crap. It got maybe like 3 episodes in. The ratings were terrible. We canned it. Only like 1,000 people really watched it anyway. Who cares? But this is a thing where, like, you could have 1 million plus people watch a show and that's not good enough. And it's just like, but now 1 million plus people, they don't get closure on the thing that they started. So they got a season in and it got killed. Like, this happened to me with 1899. That show is that first season is so fucking good. Such an amazing piece of television. But like, nobody really watched it, and it got canceled within a month of it airing. And it's just like, what do you do as a casual viewer? You're not going to latch onto any of these shows. You're just going to rewatch Friends again.
That's we've had these conversations and they keep coming up because we have these frustrations with the show. But like, that's another thing about stuff like Invincible Fight Girl is it's not eminently rewatchable in the way that back in the day when a lot of shows were made with the intent for syndication. And in order to get syndicated, you had to have, I forget what it is, but I think it was something like 50 episodes in order to actually end up in syndication and have reruns and that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And like, that's one reason why people rewatch Friends is that, well, you like, hey, if and you've done it, right? You did The Office or unfortunately The Simpsons, but like,
I was gonna say, like, The Office is the first thing that comes to mind, really.
But people will rewatch those because you can sit there and like either solo or with a significant other or with friends. You could sit there and be okay, like every hey, I don't know how many episodes The Office has, probably over 100, right?
Something like that.
You could basically sit there.
So
and I assume 20 episodes a season, something roughly, like that. So probably 150 plus.
It has a lull during the writer's strike. So
sure, but still well over 100 episodes. So you can sit there and go, you know what? Hey, during dinner time, me and the wife, we're going to sit there and we're going to watch an episode of The Office. And that would last you 3, 4, 5 months, that if you're just watching one episode a day, whereas like, if you tried to do that currently with Invincible Fight Girl, it's 2 weeks. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And now you're done, right? Yep. And that kind of thing, like that also just kills this show is even if you like this show, there's not, you can't really do much of a rewatch. You can't really. Like, I had a friend who he had never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and he lives out of province. He came back for a bit, and it was just like, I finally was like, all right, I kept telling you have to watch this. I'm sitting your ass down for a weekend, and we are just binging all 3 seasons of that show. And it was a good time. It was a little bit rough, but like over 2 days, we just binged that show. It wasn't the only thing we did. We went out for like dinner and stuff, but you could do that. Whereas
food's overrated. Watch more TV.
But even if this gets a second season, that's still like, oh, if I invite him over and it's like, well, let's binge this. It's like, okay, that's not even an entire day, right? 20 episodes at 22 minutes apiece. That's like 5-6 hours. It's like, you can do that in a morning or an afternoon. Like, it's just, I don't know. It is killing a lot of the social aspects that go into entertainment, and this show definitely is suffering from that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of TV, period, has that problem now where Netflix and other streaming services want just 10 episodes, try and keep it tight, try and keep it simple. That way they haven't invested too much money into a TV show that might just get canceled. Wow. But that is supposed to be the risk you should be taking because 10 episodes don't mean crap anymore. Like, it's fine if you're planning a very tight 10 episode season and that's going to have multiple seasons. Sure, that's the plan. And essentially now we're in a spot where you have to plan that way, but having to plan that way and wanting to plan that way are two very different beasts. And Invincible Fight Girl, if that's the case, that where they got like they had to plan for only 10 episodes because of the way streaming services are now and the way episodes are ordered, where they'll take 20, but by God, we only want 10 first off, and then we'll see if we want to keep you around, kind of thing. It's just not conducive to good business or good TV watching. And now the cat's out of the bag, and we all know that this is the way things work. So we're at a point where, like, when we see yet another 10 episode series like Invincible Fight Girl, we go like, how long till this one goes?
Especially, it's a cartoon in the era of, it's a cartoon on Toonami, which is Cartoon Network, which is Adult Swim, which is David Zaslav. So,
I mean, I was going to say, like, it's at least in a spot where cartoons are expected, but it is still David Zaslav. So, yeah, he will just cut that shit. Like, I hate him.
Yeah, man hates cartoons. I don't know why.
He does. Doesn't understand that kids need media as well. Anyway.
Oh, he doesn't care about kids. He only cares about money.
Yes.
Overall, Invincible Fight Girl, a lot of frustrations. There is some good stuff. If you're willing to accept that you might never get closure, you might never see more of it, give it a chance. It's only 10 episodes, so it's not like it's a huge investment.
Nope.
But that's where the show is at. A lot of caveats on it. I can't necessarily recommend it, but I hope to see more of it. Original animation, original stories. Those are so lacking in the current media landscape.
Yeah.
This thing has heart. I'll certainly give it that. It doesn't feel like it's some sort of a corporate brand synergy is why we went with the wrestling theme. We're going to be able to integrate it with the WWE and that'll make it, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's a heart to it, that it is coming from kind of a smaller group of people. And so I will always cheer and support for a show like this, but
Same.
I just wish it was a bit better.
Yeah, fair enough.
And on that, why don't you tell people where to find us?
All right. We'll be quick about this, and just in case internet dies again, go to our say it, but I can't even say it. Go to our Blue Sky, which is at EIFNAR. Go and yell at us about Invincible Fight Girl. Do it. It's great. Go to our Spotify, iTunes pages, rate something, tell your friends. Go to our YouTube page, like and subscribe, etc. Your life will have meaning if you do that. Go to our friend DJDane.com. He's got his music. He is a great guy. Listen to his music and maybe just give him a suplex or two.
What? Like what kind of like a German suplex?
Overdone.
What are we?
German suplex is overdone. Every goddamn like thing that references wrestling. There's a German suplex. Overdone. I'm thinking belly to belly.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, belly to belly suplex him.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another Emulsoid episode of Everything is Fine is Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
Say it.